What's up? It's the Wrestling Mat, everybody. How you doing? I'm Matt Camp. This is the Wrestling Mat. See how those two things go together? Maybe if you're the first-time viewer, you didn't know that. It's right there. That's my name. That's my social media over there, right there. See, I just point to stuff. It's a graphic, you know. Right there, though, most importantly, right above Todd, shout out to Todd, thewrestlingmatshow.com. We'd love you to subscribe if you're joining us for the first time. You're watching on my X, Twitter. You're watching with us on YouTube. And by the way, if you did subscribe over the last few days, an extra thank you, because we blew right past the 2,000 subscriber mark, and doing so in about, I don't even know, we're at week 5. Very happy to see that, and I want to send everyone a massive piece of thanks, gratitude for doing that. As you know, life can be a little different when you leave the billion dollar company. I don't know if I got enough there, but they have it, believe me. So I'm happy to be here with you guys. I'm happy to see everybody already lighting the chat up. What up, Big Mike Riggs, Manny, Jacob? And as always, folks, Super Chats go to the front. And if you missed our announcement on Friday, because we are with you every single weekday at 1 p.m. Eastern, if you throw us a Super Chat, you move to the front of the line. You get featured. We talk about what you ask or say. And it gets you entered into our sweepstakes. Sweepstakes? Is that even a thing in 2024? Our giveaway for a signed J-E-double-F, J-A-double-R-E-double-T, Double J, Jeff Jarrett, Double J, Double J, Jeff Jarrett, signed figure. So Super Chat will get you entered into that, and that will run through Wednesday. So you have today, you have tomorrow, you have Wednesday to get a Super Chat in, so you get entered into the giveaway for a Double J signed figure. And I feel like it's worth a little bit more right now. The man is rolling. He has got the wild card matchup coming up in the Owen at Dynamite Beach Blast on Wednesday. Who will it be? The Elite say they determine that wild card. A certain Hangman had a vignette play over the weekend. Is it him? We don't know, but big-time babyface Jeff Jarrett is in the Owen. He's got his first-round quarterfinal matchup coming up on Wednesday, and we are giving away a signed figure of him. But if you want a chance to win it, you got to get a Super Chat in here between today, tomorrow, or Wednesday. Now, I said more content will be coming as we bring in more subscribers, and that is the case. All coming your way in the next week and a half or so. Best and worst Money in the Bank cash-ins. The top 10 most influential matches of the modern era. Top 5 misses in WWE history. This could be talent, in-ring or out of the ring, storylines, etc., and much more. So make sure that you're subscribed right above Todd at thewrestlingmatshow.com. You won't miss a thing. Turn those notifications on. Make sure you comment, and if you know you left a comment in the last, maybe ever, no, if you've ever left a comment, it was acknowledged in some way, shape, or form, but like 95% of them get an actual comment back from me. Sometimes you get the heart, you get the like, whatever it may be. Jason, throw it up there. There it is. Jason with the $5 Super Chat. Shout out to you, Jason, and welcome into the drawing for the Jeff Jarrett giveaway. Looking forward to seeing Double J in the Owen. Legend. Hope it's Shane as the wild card. Jason, a little chaos goes a long way. Could you imagine? Oh, Jason, I didn't go there. I will say, though, Jason, you gave me a little reminder, and everybody, you go to thewrestlingmatshow.com, there's a few different Shane stories that we have told on this show, including when he went into business for himself on an episode of Postmortem, which is the show I did with Ryan Popola after each episode of Undertaker's documentary, The Last Ride. That's there, and we addressed in the last week, there's a couple great shorts about it, and it's also up on our YouTube page, thewrestlingmatshow.com. Please subscribe. There is a few different booking ideas I had for Shane if he were to go to AEW. They included the Elite. They also included one MJF. But Jason's saying, hey, how about him as the wild card for Jeff Jarrett? What a match, by the way, on paper. Double J against Shane McMahon and Double J, the super babyface. That would be something. Shane would get that initial pop. See, my whole thing with Shane, because I don't think he's done a lot of good work in a long time, he gets the pop because of his music. Everybody loves Here Comes the Money and the shuffle and the kicks. But then that's it. Then it's just, hey, it's Shane, it's music. Oh. Him calling Braun dumb, what a awful storyline that was. Good God. I assume he's recovered. It's been more than a year from that fateful match against The Miz at WrestleMania. Would he be ready, though, for this Jeff Jarrett? That dude is jacked. You see him on 0 Hour last night? He's got another 15 years in him if he wants to. Especially the way he works. Real friggin' smart, that guy. Jason, once again, thank you to you. Super chats, as you see. You set stuff off in my brain. You move to the front of the line, and Jason now has a chance for that Jeff Jarrett giveaway signed figure. So that is coming. Manny, you're wrong. Jeff Jarrett does not suck. You're dead wrong. But that's your opinion, and that's okay. And we like to share opinions. I call this because it is the most interactive wrestling show out there. I do want to note, by the way, speaking of interactive, I am doing a Reddit AMA today on the Reddit Squared Circle page at 5 p.m. Eastern. A lot of stuff I've answered here on the show. But if you have any other questions that maybe I don't get to today, or you think about them after this goes off the air, after you watch this, you can go over to the Reddit AMA at 5 p.m. Eastern. I'll be in there for about an hour or so leading into Monday Night Raw. Tom, I agree. Jeff is the best. Agree to disagree, Manny, and that's okay. But if you say he sucks, we need a reason. Why would Jeff suck? Do you not like him as a babyface? Do you not like him because you're not supposed to like him like the majority of his career? Just give me a reason. Don't just throw out he sucks. That's what we do here. If we criticize constructively. We provide options, examples. You know what else is an option? If you subscribe at thewrestlingmatchshow.com and you turn the notifications on, sometimes you get bonus episodes. Like last week and the week before, when the great Chef Reactions and I watched Nitro Episode 1 from Mall of America, and last week, Nitro Episode 2 from Miami, Florida, featuring, you got to go back and watch it with us, Sabu debuting on Nitro against Alex Wright pre-dancing gimmick. There is a table that I have not seen before and not seen since that gets used in that match. And a lot of kickouts at 3.1. Also, the first meeting of Hulk Hogan and Lex Luger for the WCW title. And don't get your hopes up for that one. Go back and watch it, though. You can do that at thewrestlingmatchshow.com. The CNC Wrestling Factory, that's Camp and Chef, we'll be watching more WCW, WWF, and E, I guess. And anything else you might suggest. There is some talk of maybe episodes of Shotgun Saturday Night being watched, which are not available on Peacock. So we may have found a few links to watch those that just happen to be on the internet. But you guys let us know. Very active community page as it was all weekend long as it related to Forbidden Door. And, well, folks, we're going to get into that. We'll get into the SmackDown episode from Friday in a little bit, but Forbidden Door was indeed last night. It got reported, because I guess I was indeed at the show last night. It's not that far away from where I live, so I decided to take the show in. And I didn't get to stay for the whole thing. I did finish up watching it later on. Shout out to my friends at Triller TV and Busted Open for making that happen. But I liked being there live. That was my first AEW show live in the building, as you kind of might expect, since I was working somewhere else and I wasn't going to put on a mask and go to a show. And believe me, people in WWE actually did that. But I was happy to take it in, be in the crowd. It was fun. I was there for the majority of the show and was able to watch the rest. And let's get into it. So 0 Hour, which was a 4-person panel of RJ, Renee, Double J, Jeff Jarrett, and Rocky, makes sense for Forbidden Door, as the liaison. Not a lot of talking on 0 Hour. You guys got to tell me, I think there was 5 matches on 0 Hour. Did they show Fletcher and, was it Serpentico? Did they show that on the 0 Hour? I didn't know if that was a dark match or not. I think they did, but it was a wrestling-heavy 0 Hour. And I do want to note they did a really good job with the Mariah May Saraya match. Because, Mariah, I think, needed to win because it was the Owen. That was important. It's a big win considering Saraya. Is it Saraya or Saraya? I mean, I apologize. I should know that. But I I thought they did a good job with that for two reasons. A, Mariah needs to go on a bit of a run because I think, I'll say it again, the person to take the AEW Women's Championship off Toni Storm should be Mariah May. And man, has she gotten better. I am very impressed with her as an overall package, from presentation to how she plays off Mina to how she plays off of Toni. Her stuff in the ring is good, and it didn't look out of place for her to win last night. And then what did they do? At the top of the ramp, they sell to the pay-per-view. Exactly what a pre-show should do. Sell to the pay-per-view. That's what, for those who may not know, that's what Sunday Night Heat was supposed to be. They started that leading into SummerSlam 1998. It was basically a hype-up show for SummerSlam 98, and they kept it around. And obviously, it would go through different iterations, and it became the B show of sorts, or even the C show at times, I guess you would say, and it didn't matter. It's kind of what I'd say it was maybe a step below. It's probably a little step below it's probably a step below Rampage. I guess at the end, that's what it was. But Heat was a warm-up for SummerSlam 98. And then, halftime Heat and all that other stuff happened. But it was used to push to the pay-per-view. Like, famously, Rumble 90... What am I thinking of? Rumble 98? Rumble 99. So Rumble 99 was Foley, Mankind, and Rock, I Quit. And that is where Mankind says, I will never say those words, you twit. I will never say those words. I quit, I quit, I quit. And Shane's doing commentary, and he goes, thank you very much, Mick. Why? Because they used that recording for Rock to win the match. So once again, there was a piece of storyline that led right into the pay-per-view. And they did that last night with Mariah. There was that pull-up. She wins, and Mina and Toni have that pull-apart. Toni with the curlers and the Stardom tracksuit was fantastic. She is, I will say, if in person, because of the black and white, it looks like she's in black and white when you see her. That's how much light makeup she has on. It adds to it in the best way possible. We'll get to her match, but a really good job using a 0-hour match to go into and push towards the pay-per-view. So we get into that. They open the show with MJF and Hechicero. Big pop for MJF, and I understood why he opened the show. I understood getting that pop. Why this match took place, obviously it was kind of made for him. If you want to believe that, maybe MJF got to pick his opponent, all that stuff. I was a little surprised about the pacing of this match. It didn't go 10 minutes. A lot of submission stuff. And I think both of them can do that kind of stuff. That's obviously not as much of an MJF thing, although he can do it. But MJF's a really good worker when the boots are on and when the situation calls for it. Like that babyface run at the end of the year with the kangaroo kick and all the gaga. It wasn't the time for that. And it just felt like this was the kind. It might have worked better elsewhere in the card. I get the big pop. I get MJF going over to open the show. He's in front of his hometown fans. He crowd surfs. He's over. Look, he's still over. So as much as I think a lot of us would like to see heel MJF, and maybe that's coming down the line, certainly a lot of tease with Osprey. If he's getting cheered, you probably got to go with it for now. Any return of that magnitude with somebody that popular and that over in general and that well known, you're going to get the big pop for the return. He was coming back as a babyface anyway because he attacked Cole, and he's still getting cheered. So I get what they're doing. I just wonder if that would have been placed better in the show. Maybe if they had a chance to do it again, would they put it somewhere else just based on the type of a match it was? To me, it reminded me of Punk and Kojima last year. Fun match on paper. You knew who was winning. It got the star on the show. What I actually liked was that it felt like while it was a pay-per-view match, it was pushing forward to what's going on outside of that match. What's going on Wednesday with Garcia and Osprey? What could be going on down the road with maybe MJF and Osprey? I am a big fan of AEW not keeping people in tunnel vision. Well, this is my feud, and I only focus on that person. They've done a pretty good job with that, whether it be Swerve getting teased with Elite, whether it be, battling them, whether it be MJF, Hechicero is in the match. That's the match, but he's talking to Daniel Garcia. He gets interrupted by Osprey. He's watching the main event. He should be. Makes those matches matter more, too. And he won. I'll tell you what, that teardrop brainbuster, he should stick with that, and they should sell the shit out of that move because it looked beautiful. And I'll tell you why they should sell that move big and the damage it can do when we get to Osprey and Swerve later on. So there's a tease. Also, here's a tease. Go subscribe at thewrestlingmatshow.com if you have not done so yet, because we're here every weekday at 1 p.m. Eastern. We are here every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern. And once again, if you're just joining us, Super Chats between now, Tuesday, and Wednesday, get recognized immediately. Your question gets answered immediately, or comment, or whatever. And you will be entered to win a Jeff Jarrett signed figure. So, Super Chats are available. Also, we will be having subscription tiers, pay subscription tiers, and what will be available, those in the coming days. So stay tuned for that. Moving on, though, Elite versus Acclaimed. It kind of just felt there. I was happy to. I will never be mad about seeing Okada and Tanahashi. I will say I appreciate. Oh, look at this guy giving the finger. I like watching Okada wrestle. How's that? Look at fake Scott Steiner behind him, too, also flipping everybody off. I like that. There he is. There's Scott Steiner and Okada, just as we all planned it for Forbidden Door. That dude went all in, huh? Can we put that up one more time, Don? Dom, can we put that up again? That picture? This dude has the chainmail. I actually might have seen this guy when I was walking in the building. He's got the chainmail and he's got the Steiner beard. Wrestling cosplay at its finest right there. If I remember correctly, he was walking in with a woman who also had chainmail on. So I guess it was a 2-for-1 sale on chainmail. Shout out to them. But Okada wrestling. Okada, Tanahashi, always nice to see. It's a little unfortunate that at this point, and he's just done so much, Tanahashi's not at the level he used to be. And that's his body breaking down. He's also the president of New Japan. By the way, the president of New Japan walks in and does business. He loses to Okada in a 6-man. And it was a little weird to just see Okada just take care of Tanahashi like that. Like, oh, no, here we go, finish, and we're done. Just knowing the battles that they've had. But Okada takes care of business, gets the win. I think they very intentionally didn't want the Acclaimed or the Bucks involved in the finish, because we'll get to a tag team title match with those two teams at some point down the road. Elite had to win. They did it the right way. The Tanahashi taking the loss. Okada gets a win on the pay-per-view, and you still have, plenty of space to get to the Bucks and the Acclaim for the tag team titles. By the way, Tanahashi, I will give him credit. Whether it was this, whether it was being one of the boys for Dalton Castle, for a guy who's an all-time great, he absolutely will play ball. I appreciate that so much. I really, really enjoy that. He's one of the greatest. He's the president of the company. He's playing bass with the Acclaimed. He was one of the he has fun with it. Comment here from Gritty Urban Sog. You don't have to put it up. Tony Khan is so terrified of letting any of his athletes get pinned. It's embarrassing. What happened to John Moxley last night? What happened to Orange Cassidy last night? The two guys who have probably the greatest win percentage in AEW history both lost. That's lazy. Don't do that. The two, like, other than maybe MJF, Mox and OC never lose, and we'll get to that. They both lost on pay-per-view last night. Clean. In the middle. They lost. If you're going to be critical, be correctly critical. Be constructively critical. We'll get back to that. Let's get back to the Owen, though. A match that looked beautiful on paper and lived up to expectations. Bryan Danielson, Shingo Takagi, exactly what I hoped. Awesome match. As I was watching it, I said to myself, I think I put this on Twitter, I will never take watching Bryan Danielson for granted. Because at some point, unfortunately in the near future, he's not going to be wrestling anymore. And he's not going to be wrestling that much as he goes to, as he's saying, I don't want to be full-time anymore. Man, that was good. Man, the crowd's with him. I don't care, and I don't know if he's tried to get away with this, away from it. That dude is going to be tied to the yes chance forever, and it's not a bad thing. It's hilarious that WWE tried to co-opt them with, like, Big Show that for those few weeks. God, that was so stupid. That was some Vince-ass shit right there. And sorry to put those two things together. But the yes chance will live forever. As they should. It's the biggest part of his career, and he's still kicking ass at this point in his career. Shingo was great as a heel playing into that. I really, really like that. I like that a lot. That's someone recognizing the crowd. That's one of those things when I go back to, like, the NXT and the NXT, trainees in the Performance Center. That's one of those things you got to learn. You got to play off a crowd, not practice a match for a week and then do spot by spot by spot. You got to go somewhere and shit's got to go wrong. You got to change with the crowd. I don't think Shingo was ever going to be a babyface in that match. But that was him listening and playing off the crowd and playing into the yes chance and flip. That's a pro. That's a pro that knew his role in that match. He also knew he was losing. So you handle it accordingly. There's no boo-boo face with that guy. Oh, cool. This match has a little bit another layer to it. They don't like me. It wasn't just, hey, we like this guy. No, they love Bryan Danielson. They didn't like Shingo as a result. He, as a pro, leaned into it. The crowd didn't like it. It made the match better. They got behind Danielson even more. Outstanding match. Everything you wanted. Danielson wins. Him and Pac at Beach Blast on Wednesday. That was good. I'm excited for that match on Wednesday. I will say, small bummer. Danielson doing, and let me say this, AEW did a very good job at media this week. Mercedes, Tony, Danielson. They put some big names out there, as they should. But, and there was probably other ones. I'm just saying those jumped out to me. Danielson in an interview said, like, he doesn't want to be AEW champ. He doesn't think he should. And I was bummed to hear that timing-wise now because he's in this tournament. And listen, he could be playing us all with that. There's a certain way to do that where he says it, he wins the tournament, and he's like, you know what? I know I said this, but sometimes I doubt myself, which is it's a great character trait that he has. He's aware of how good he is. He is still excited about wrestling certain people, but there is a human part of Bryan Danielson's character that always comes through of, even though he's got all the accolades and even though he could never wrestle again and be one of the greatest of all time, he could have like 3 bad years in a row and still be one of the greats. He won't let himself do that like others in wrestling right now that just can't listen and can't face their own wrestling mortality. But I like that about Bryan. I like that he knows, hey, listen, I'm not the biggest, I'm not the strongest. It's why I've had to fight. That keeps him as an underdog, even though you know he can beat anybody. There's a human element of him acknowledging his shortcomings, the few that he has, whether it be his size, whether it be his injuries, his age, the wear and tear in his body. So I do kind of like that, maybe that plays into this whole thing. He said, this is my last shot, but it's my best shot. And I know on the interview he was very likely speaking out of character, but he's in a tournament where he's got a chance. He's got more than a chance to win. I mean, if we ended up with Swerve and Danielson in Wembley, hell yeah, let's go. But good match. The BCC is a little weird for me right now because it feels like they go babyface or heel depending on who they're facing, but you're not going to boo Moxley. You're not going to boo Danielson. And on any given day, Claudio Castagnoli might be the best wrestler in the world. And there's a likability to all those guys. I almost would rather the BCC be a looser affiliation than one that always sticks together as much as they do. And I guess that is kind of it just feels like there's more to get out of Mox on his own. There's more to get out of Danielson on his own. I mean, it's good for Wheeler, and, you could always do the Wheeler and Claudio tag team, which, once again, and I saw that Dax put it up on his list of his favorite matches. A couple weeks ago, Collision, FTR, right before, I think it was Dax's last match before he had to, take a break because of the injury to his hip or back or butt or whatever the hell it was. FTR versus Yuta and Claudio it's great, and it's also a bummer. That is such a damn good tag team match. And then I thought about it. Man, tag team wrestling has taken a very big hit across the board. Think about Raw right now. Gaga and BS. You had the Awesome Truth, a comedy act, as the tag champs. They got their moment at Mania. Now it's JD and Finn. It's not about tag team wrestling. It's about part of the stuff with Liv. Then on the SmackDown side, the tag champs are probably going to break up soon. And there's not a lot of action there. I think NXT's trying, but they're going to have Chase U against Axiom and Frazier at Heatwave. And they have teased dissension on both sides. So there's not a lot of sink your teeth in tag action on WWE side. And then on the AEW side, while the Bucks are tag champs, once again, the titles are kind of trophies for them more than anything else. And we're not seeing as much good 2-on-2 tag team action. The trio stuff is good. And some of the 4-ways, these all-star tags and all that, that's been fun to watch. I have very much enjoyed the conglomerate of OC, Mark Briscoe, and Kyle O'Reilly. I actually saw Kyle for a second. I go, I hope you guys keep doing this. And he laughed because we're having fun. But in terms of just straight up 2-on-2 tag team action, it's just, there's not a lot of it. Now, I'll tell you this. The old school way of thinking, and this is about money and budgets, is you didn't push tag teams because you don't pay one guy or two women. You don't pay one, you got to pay two. The act is two. 2 plane tickets. 1 spot on the show. Not 2, 1 spot on the show. 4 people for 1 match, as opposed to 4 people for 2 matches. That's old school way of thinking. You have to pay more for 1 match, and it's not at the main event level. Someone who was on the creative team in WWE once told me that was always Vince's thing. I got to pay for 2. That's why managers don't always go on the road for live events. It's an extra expense. Now, It's not territory days. AEW has plenty of money. WWE has plenty of money. They can afford it. But that is an old school way of thinking. That's just one spot on the card. Why am I paying double for it? And obviously it's different in terms of pay rate and scale. But that has been a way of thinking. But I am a little bummed as I thought about it. And especially now with FTR, you're not going to see both of them because of Dax's injury. Tag team wrestling is very cold right now. AEW can pick that back up. I hope they do. But it's kind of tough when the Bucks are your tag champs and the titles are background fodder. I get it, though. They got to have titles. I get it. And we'll get to that coming up. Maybe the best booked story in AEW for months. Not maybe, it is. Toni Storm, Mina Shirakawa, Mariah in the middle, AEW Women's World Championship. This has been the best booked feud on the show for months. All the characters are clearly fleshed out with motivations and strife and how they feel. This is the post-match right there. Toni coming out as the Statue of Liberty was amazing. Once again, as I said earlier, Mariah winning in 0 Hour and pushing towards this match in the pay-per-view is exactly what a pre-show should be. Toni, super over. Was a heel. Look, she's a babyface for now. We'll see if that changes. Mina is a great example of consistent booking and talent getting you over. And I don't even say that as a Forbidden Door thing. I say that as someone who's just been featured in some way, shape, or form every week on AEW television. She happens to be primarily known from Stardom, which is her home promotion, but she's basically been an AEW talent for a month plus. So it's not only the fact that they introduced her and have told everybody about her, which is what I would like to see more of if Forbidden Door is going to continue in the current concept. I would like to see the outside wrestlers be around a little bit more as opposed to the week before or stuff gets, and I know travel and Japan and Mexico and visas and other schedules play into that. But Mina has been able to get booked consistently. They've made her available. She's made herself available. So we knew a lot about this was a fully fleshed out story coming into the show. It happened to be Forbidden Door, but this could have been on any part. This could have been on any pay-per-view they did because she's been around that much. More of a straight-up match than I would have expected. Like Mariah, they got, great job by her on the outside and, her facial expressions and being conflicted, but not involved. And Toni wins, as she should have. And then they make up and they're good. And then Mariah, and this goes back, by the way, to me, like I saw the sex appeal. Oh, this is good for the sex appeal of the show. It's 2024. Get that shit out of here. Okay? This was because it's what Mina and Mariah did as a team in Stardom. So this was the kiss of friendship, the kiss of forgiveness, the kiss of, okay, we're all on the same side. And the crowd popped for it. It's like the hug that the best friends used to do. And they did take the zoom out shot, which was great. That's what that was. That wasn't to go, ooh, HLA's coming back, everybody. You can go watch those suggestions on another channel of an angry man who's been bankrupt multiple times. But he did get a really, really nice puff piece over 4 weeks on Vice. He stared out into the distance and cried when Kevin Nash put him over. Man, what a run Bischoff had when I was in the company as creative. Moving on. Zack Sabre Jr. and Orange Cassidy. Last year, both part of a four-way for the international title. With Shibata and Daniel Garcia. When you strip OC down of the gimmick, and I shouldn't even say strip it down because this is part of it. The whole thing with Orange Cassidy is that he lures you in. This is what I don't think old school people or people who don't like the gimmick don't get. The idea is that he's luring you in because he's a hell of a wrestler. And they had a hell of a wrestling match. And it's exactly what I expected. And then at the end, Zack Sabre Jr. tied Orange Cassidy in knots and beat him clean in the ring. Clean in the middle. So, the very lazy criticism of, well, what do the other companies get out of this? Orange Cassidy lost last night to Zack Sabre Jr. Orange Cassidy's record is one of the best in the 5-year history of AEW. He lost. It won't hurt him at all. He lost. I'm hoping, along with a lot of others, because yes, New Japan certainly had input on the show because it's a working partnership, that Zack Sabre is going to win the G1 and win the IWGP Championship from Naito, spoiler, at Wrestle Kingdom, which will be one of 2 dates in January. Let's get to that now. They threw to this package kind of underwhelmingly, like, oh yeah, let's hear from and Wrestle Kingdom January 4th. And then all of a sudden, Wrestle Dynasty is announced, which very much, while not calling it Forbidden Door, and while they're not calling it Forbidden Door, it's another joint show. And you saw all the logos of AEW and New Japan and Stardom and CMLL. You saw all of that. So that's kind of fun. You got a Wrestle Kingdom, which, for those that don't know, New Japan's version of WrestleMania is January 4th every single year. Every single year. January 4th. They had, I guess last year first night of 2 nights? Maybe that was it. Or the year before, whatever. But this year, January 5th, is a joint show. Now, there has been some AEW participation on Wrestle Kingdom and various New Japan shows, as people know. It's how Moxley won the IWGP Championship a couple months ago. So it is cool that they're doing that, and it's in January. So it's basically, if they keep it up as a thing, you got Forbidden Door in the middle of the year, yesterday, and we'll see you in January for another joint show. I like it. And a lot of people were hoping that Forbidden Door or whatever. Yeah, actually, people wanted Forbidden Door. Could it go to Japan? And Tony's been asked about that a bunch, and he's kind of like, no, Forbidden Door's here, but we're willing to do something. Well, there it is. And I like the separation. Once again, 6 months of difference. Oh, I love getting texts from people within the big companies that are high up. I can't share them, though, but it's fun to get them during the show. It is fun to see who is watching, and I appreciate those who are watching, and I appreciate those who have subscribed right above Todd at thewrestlingmatchshow.com. If you haven't done so yet, you should, and you should turn the notifications on. We have a lot more coming. If you're just joining us, we're in the middle of Forbidden Door review. We blew through the 2,000 subscriber number, went right past it, much quicker than we expected. Coming up, though, turn the notifications on. We're going to have best and worst Money in the Bank winners. Top 10 most influential matches of the modern era. Oh, I can't wait for the discourse about that one. We're going to talk about the top 5 misses in WWE history, whether it be talent inside or out the ring, storylines, and so much more. But turn the notifications on. You won't miss any of that. Also, the CNC Wrestling Factory. That's me and Chef Reactions. Watching back old stuff. We've watched the first 2 Nitros. There's a little talk of watching Shotgun Saturday Night, and I went back and watched some of the early episodes recently. Oh, baby. The nightclub, Vince and Sonny calling the show, Todd out in the street, Ahmed Johnson hitting the Pearl River plunge on D'Lo on a car. There is some good I love. And we may do this. I love a good non-traditional wrestling venue. We watched that first Nitro, Mall of America. First wrestling's going back there for like the 4th time in September. A show I wish I could go to. Not ruling it out. I would love to be there. Club La Vila. Stuff on the beach. Road Wild. Hog Wild. Non-traditional wrestling venues. All the random shit in Japan. DDT running that match in the train and Minoru Suzuki pulling a gun out from Back to the Future 3. Fantastic. I love it. You don't have to make everything look pretty. When AEW went on the Jericho cruise, I remember sitting in, there was a reason I stayed late at the WWE offices. I was in the digital offices with the great Giancarlo, who's working behind the scenes AEW, making a lot of great stuff happen. Another great Daniel Garcia vignette, by the way, got posted. And him and I were watching NXT and the Jericho Cruise edition of Dynamite. And I remember just going, how fun does that look? Shivani with the Hawaiian shirt, the famous gif, him going. It's a fun atmosphere. It doesn't have to sell a bunch of tickets all the time. You do that plenty, especially WWE. And by the way, AEW did another $1 million gate last night for Forbidden Door. Congratulations. Great for the wrestling business, everybody. But once in a while, an off the beaten path, different kind of venue. AEW is going to run that residency in Texas. NXT went to the Apex. And from what I've heard from those who watch wrestling matches or watch UFC shows that are in the Apex, wow, it could look like that. Someone's going to run the Sphere. What the hell is that going to look like? WWE, I assume, will run the Sphere first. What's that going to look like? The NHL draft was there the other night. It looked cool as hell. My good friend Jackie Redmond was covering it. I do want to do an episode of just non-traditional wrestling venues and how fun it can be. I think it's why the Funhouse match jumped out. I think it's why the Boneyard match jumped out. Yeah, they pre-taped the shit out of it, and that's fine. It was more of a movie, but it looked different. The stuff with the Viking Raiders and the Prophets during the pandemic when they were throwing shit up against the wall. That random-ass match where Tozawa got involved and they were in the dump. It's fun. Wrestling should be fun. Put it in a fun venue once in a while. I hope more. Look, indie companies have to do that stuff sometimes. Whether it be Beyond, running in the street. You know, there was an indie show in the street in Philly during WrestleMania week. You know, somebody brought up Hammerstein. It's still a venue. I like that it costs a lot of money to run the Hammerstein, though. I loved when they did the 25th anniversary of Raw. Terrible execution. Atrocious execution of it. But seeing the old Raw original 93 look. Oh, man, that was great. Just give me more of that. You know, the ECW Arena, TNA, sold-out show this past weekend. Very happy to see that. The old ECW Arena is dead. The building's still there, but it's kind of nice now. There's like a Tron over the ring. There's like a Jumbotron. It's four monitors over the ring. That's like, that's not the ECW Arena. There's a nice bar outside. It's still got the dinginess to it, but it's not the grime of ECW back in the day. It's a little too nice now. I want to see more of those fun venues. I'm begging companies to think that way. Get outside. Get on a beach. Go to a club. Someone do Shotgun Saturday Night again. Give me a nightclub. That's my plea to the wrestling world. get some talent, get some location scouts out there to look for weird and fun venues. All right, let's get back to Forbidden Door. This is what happens on this show. I go off on tangents about this stuff because you guys remind me of things. We are up to... See how that sound of my voice, you can kind of guess where we're up to. Joe Hook and Shibata against the Learning Tree, which was Jeff Cobb joining the team. Brian Keith is hurt, and apparently legitimately hurt because I saw him get pulled off of a show. I don't think it was Deadlock, but I saw he got pulled off an indie show and has to give up a title. Hook beats Jericho with the Judas Effect, and we'll get back to Hook and Jericho for the FTW title. The end. The ladder match, Deadlock. Thank you, Tom. Yeah, sorry to Brian Keith. That's a bummer. I think he was champ for like 323 days there for Deadlock, and that is a company you should go check out if you have not. They are doing indie wrestling the correct way. Indie wrestling companies that have fun and know that it's not that serious, like AEW running an angle with Nathan Segura, who I used to work with on SiriusXM on the Fantasy Channel, who's now a Cleveland Browns analyst. They ran an angle with him and Jeff Jarrett, and now there's going to be a tag match. Good local promotion, old school and as fun as it gets. They'll book, random meet and greets. That's fun. Wrestling's fun. Indie wrestling is the spirit of fun. Indie wrestling should be fun. Indie wrestling shouldn't be taken seriously. I saw some dope in wherever the hell he was going, well, I don't want to book wrestlers who are going to work for another company close by, because then they won't want to come see me. No, you don't get to have exclusivity over people if you don't pay them. That's called a contract. That old school ass way of thinking, well, if you go work somewhere else and I trained you, I get a piece of that. Fuck you. No, you don't. No, you don't. What year is this? You make a bigger name for yourself going out in the world, and you come back and you're a bigger deal. It's like anybody who start as that, if their home promotion is whatever, and they go out and they wrestle all over the world and the country, and they become a bigger name, they move, and then when they come back, it's a bigger deal. And guess what? Then they're a bigger draw for your indie show. Why is that so hard to comprehend? If they stay on only your show, they will cap somewhere. If they go out and work other places against other people and get more eyeballs and get more notoriety, when they come back, they're a bigger deal and more people want to see them. Holy shit, why is that logic hard to understand for some indie promoters in 2024? Well, I control you. No, you do not. WWE can control where their talent works because they're paying them. Same thing for AEW and AEW wrestlers. All the way to the top with Moxley. Go work other places. AEW gets right of first refusal, as they should. But they go work other places because they want to. Or they need to. Whatever it may be. But these small-ass indies go, well, you can't go work there. What? Okay, see ya, because you're not paying that person enough if they're also trying to get other dates. Which brings us to the ladder match for the TNT, the vacant TNT championship. Right off the bat, everybody goes after Jack Perry. Right off the bat. I was a little confused by the commentary line where I think it was Excalibur saying, well, everybody, the Elite doesn't have really any friends. I mean, they do seem to be okay with the patriarchy. I do want to mention that. And they do seem to have an ability to go after certain people that they don't like and use people to go after those certain people. So I don't know if they have... I had said from the jump, this Elite group, as they are now, should have heels to suck up to them. The patriarchy in them seem to have somewhat understanding. So I get why everybody in that match didn't like Jack Perry, but it's not like everybody's against the Elite. ELP was excellent in this match. I know he's a late addition. I don't know if a lot of people have been following his career. He's obviously a New Japan guy, but he looked like a ring general in that match. He looked comfortable, confident. It looked like he does a ladder match every week the way he was working that. He jumped. That is a guy that knows what the hell he's doing. What I took the most from this match was Takeshita. A, everybody knows he's great. B, the crowd loved him. Very, very telling. The crowd loves him. To the point that Excalibur and all of commentary, correctly so, called that out. Despite his affiliations with the Don Callis family and blah, 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 they're still with him because he's friggin' awesome. That blue thunder bomb off the apron through the tables could not have looked any better. That should be in every AEW highlight reel forever. That was perfect. And the funny thing was, he goes up the ladder and people are cheering. And listen, a little insight here. When they do a ladder match, especially multi-man, you kind of got to work the whole thing out ahead of time. That's not the kind of match you can call in the ring. Sometimes you have to when people get hurt, and best wishes to Leo Rush. I saw Beyond announce that, I think it was mentioned in the scrum too, that he's hurt and can't work their show. If he's the only one, wow, because there was that brutal ladder to the shoulder head that Takeshita took on the outside. There was all kinds of stuff. But Takeshita goes up the ladder, and the crowd comes up, and they want him to win. And the person who broke it up was Mark Briscoe. And the crowd they didn't boo Briscoe, but I felt like there was a disappointment that Takeshita was stopped. If he was stopped by a heel, it would have been different. I got it. But I would say this. I think they should lean into that. And it can play very much into what's going on with Osprey, where he doesn't really fit the philosophy of the Don Callis family. Cheat, do whatever, underhanded, stay at the top by any means necessary. Takeshita looked like a super duper star because he is, and was treated that way and cheered that way by that fan base. I would lead into that. Now, I would lean into that because it's almost like he outshines Don Callis. He doesn't need to be like Don Callis. Or it's something where, and this is not a knock on Callis. This is more of just, hey, getting over with the fans. And this is more of a character thing. I don't want to say getting over. But understanding that what he does and what he's able to do as a wrestler, he doesn't need Don Callis. He's already great. He doesn't need to cheat. He doesn't need that kind of backing. He's a megastar on his own, doesn't need the help. And when the fans organically get behind him like that, they should lean into that. I want commentary to go, man, once again, Takeshita has won over this crowd despite his association with and you just keep going into that. Now, I put that on Twitter last night, and somebody mentioned, well, he's going to be in the G1, so they won't do it. Why not? If he's going to do the G1, which he is, the G1, by the way, is the New Japan tournament they run every year. It is a round-robin tournament. You face everybody in your block. Block winners face off. Winner has a shot at Wrestle Kingdom for the title. Takeshita's in it this year. It's a grind. You wrestle a bunch of singles matches. 2 points for the win, 1 for a tie. A draw, a tie. You could have updates on Takeshita on Dynamite about where he's at. And he'll be there by himself. I would love to see him win his block or be there at the end. And you tell that story on television of the run Takeshita is having by himself in the G1. So when he comes back, and I don't think he'll win, but I think he should have a very strong showing. When he comes back, you keep having that story get told. That's on commentary to handle that. You have a babyface go up to him. You don't need this. The first person that came to mind when I thought of that, and I know you probably want to save his pop. Right here. What if Eddie came back after the G1 just for an appearance? Just to say hello. That's it. And maybe there's a back and forth with the Elite. And later on in the show, Takeshita has a great showing. He wins a match. And Callis is with him, and he walks away. Callis walks away, and Eddie walks up to Takeshita and goes, think of this in Eddie's voice. I'm not going to try and do it. You don't need that guy. You're Takeshita. I saw what you did in the G1. I know what it's like to be in that G1. That thing is grueling. Also, I love the idea of Eddie Kingston and his voice saying grueling because it feels like the right way to say grueling. You don't need that guy. Imagine getting that stamp of approval, that push in the right direction from a guy like Eddie Kingston, who would go, listen, I was affiliated with some scumbags in the past. I'm not proud of that. You don't need that scumbag. You could do it on, and then Eddie walks off. And you let the camera linger on Takeshita 5-10 seconds where he thinks about it. That is how you launch him to the top as the babyface and great superstar we know he can be. Just an idea came to me. The Eddie thing kind of came to me as I was sitting here. Jack Perry wins. What you expect. I wish he would have had more help. I didn't like him winning as clean as he did. I will say that. I wish, like I had thrown out the idea of Mark Briscoe going to the top and they do the King of the Ring, raise the briefcase thing. It would fit their characters. For Mark Briscoe to go up there and it just goes up. Or even the Bucks run out, whatever. But they cut to the back and they get their hand on the button. Listen. That's what their current characters would do. Theoretically, they could do it. And then Jack Perry doesn't need to win a ladder match clean. It's a ladder match. It's all kinds of BS anyway. To get extra heat on him, you have Mark Briscoe get screwed, and the only way you can really screw somebody in a ladder match. Because you can use everything and anybody can interfere. But there's a way to do it. He should have it. Nope. Jack Perry takes him out. Goes up. Briefcase comes back down. Boom. Briefcase. Title comes back down. Winner. But he should have won the match. He did win the match. Mercedes versus Stephanie Vaquer. She looks awesome. She's a hell of a worker. She's taken advantage of every opportunity she's been given. I hope she sticks around as well, Stephanie Vaquer. I thought the crowd, third to last match, was a little restless. I thought the match was good. I thought it was worked well. It just felt like they got a little restless. The Boston stuff happened. The Celtics. I don't know if it was true that what Taz said is they saw some Boston guy jersey in the crowd was trying to get attention, and they booed him. That makes sense. That could have happened. But Mercedes tried to lean into it. It took away a little bit from the end. She tried to lean in. Finish was okay. She wins. She's the NJPW Women's Strong Champion, and she is the TBS Champion. And she celebrates for 5 seconds, and we get the return of Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, to a massive pop. She has been out for a long time. And she walked out, and they went nuts, and I liked Mercedes still holding both titles up. She didn't have a dumbfounded look on her face like, oh my, no, I won. Bring it. She'd probably say, bring it, bitch. I'm not going to say that. Bring it. I'm the champ. I got 2 of these things. And my goodness, have you set yourself up for a really big time, first time, fantasy booked for years, Wembley match. You know you got the Owen winner. We'll see who that's going to be. Is it Mariah and Tony? But you got two very likely big-time women's matches ready to go for Wembley. Will Morris saying there was a guy in a green Celtics jersey sitting in the crowd during the pod. Okay, that's annoying. Don't make it about you at the shows, okay? Don't make it about you. It's not about you. That took away from the match. That's unfortunate. But great angle, big angle to close the match. JR comes back out. Great to see that for the last two matches. Was in the ER, back out at ringside. The voice of wrestling. I'm happy that we got to see him last night. He was fired up. You could hear he was appreciative to be back out there. So he comes out for Mox and Naito for the IWGP Championship. It was fine. Naito's just not what he used to be. That knee is wrecked. But he won. I wasn't surprised that he won. He even had kind of said, which I don't think they made too big of a deal about, that he would give up his spot in the G1 if he lost. The IWGP title goes back to Japan. It was okay. Mox coming out to his New Japan music. I think some of the crowd knew. I don't know. Wild Thing is a special thing. I got why they did it. But Naito's the champ. That's over. Main event. Osprey and Swerve. Felt big. Good promos coming into it. Good heat. The Blade on Saturday night was good on the weigh-in. They made that weigh-in work. This felt big. It came off big. It came off like two megastars. And what was nice to hear and see is the crowd was absolutely there. Will put out a video on his social media earlier in the day yesterday. And it was very heartfelt. It was very vulnerable. And he basically told the story of when he left, because he still lives in England. My goodness, think of what that guy's doing every week. When he left on Tuesday, or when he flew over, he found out that his, I think he said his nan passed away. And, it got to him. And he had said, part of him was somewhat relieved because she was in pain, but, it still hurts to lose a family member. And he said it was the first family member I lost. And my goodness, that's a different feeling. And he said, he was thanking everybody for reaching out to him. He hadn't revealed it and what that meant, especially this week. And he knew the gravitas of this week. He was main eventing, $1 Million Gate, the company he wanted to join, the company he wanted to be part of, his next step on his journey. And he was there, and he's main eventing, and he just said, listen, I know it's a big card. I think it ended up being 15 matches, all said and done. I'm asking you guys to be there for us at the end, for me. And you know what? That was as real as it got coming from him. That is a guy who loves wrestling and loves performing and wants to be the best and wants to put on a show. Even him addressing, the bad rating a couple weeks ago. Hey, when that happens, I want to work harder. We got to look inward at that. I appreciated that. I think that's all anybody wants to hear. Ratings get overblown and all that. The AEW is going to get a TV deal. They're going to get a good TV deal. Believe me, there's way more to this than a one Wednesday rating. Tony saying, I think he did the Observer interview. People would kill for the demo number we get. He's 100% correct. But because there's graphs, and this is what Raw did, this is what SmackDown, this is what AEW, you have to look at these things sometimes in a vacuum. Warner is not worried about what Raw's doing on Monday. AEW's not up against them on Monday. They're not worried about NXT on Tuesday. AEW's not up against them on Tuesday. They're not worried about what Rampage does versus SmackDown on Friday because they're on at different times. This is this weird, vicious cycle of wrestling fans talking about this stuff and comparing. They look at Wednesdays. What did we do on Wednesday? What did we draw? Who were we up against? And that's only part of the conversation. Getting commercial-free starts to the show. Getting overruns. Being given another 2-hour show on Saturday. These are all positive steps, which we should all be rooting for. But when the rating goes bad, like it did, yes, you should think about what's going on. It's not going to change. Warner's not going, well, forget it now. You guys had that bad rating. We're done with you. No. It is a marathon. They're in year 5, they're 5 years in. It's still very much a startup. You can't compare. It's the easiest thing to do is compare the two big wrestling companies in the world. Sometimes I understand it. But Warner Brothers is looking at an entity that they are paying for and will pay more for. How is that performing for us? I can't wait, in a way, for Raw to show up on Netflix on Mondays because there's going to be nothing to compare. There's going to be no numbers. No one will know. That's great because Netflix paid for it. And they get to know whatever those numbers are. I don't know if that stuff will get leaked out. But there's no comparison. There's no, that demo, that Nielsen, it doesn't exist for Netflix. That talking point will go away as this angry discourse that happens on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays. And whenever the fast nationals that get leaked to dopes that put them out on their social media. God, I can't wait for that to go away. To the match, though. The crowd was there. They were hot. They knew this was big. It felt big. Yes, the show was approaching midnight, but the crowd was there for the main event. It felt big. You had the ref bump. Looked like Osprey was going to win. Callis makes an appearance. Here's the screwdriver. It was fine that he got. It's a bigger story. Something I talked about last week about Osprey's got to go somewhere he doesn't want to go. He doesn't want to cheat. I appreciate that. Nana got involved, pushed him out of the way, and then Osprey went to go defend Callis and then backed off. Good. But Will wasn't willing to pull the trigger. Whether it be using the screwdriver or the tiger driver. It looked like it was going to do, oh no, Stormbreaker. He wouldn't do it. He hesitated. Swerve didn't. He stayed on top. He stayed focused. He won. It didn't hurt Will. It tells a longer, bigger story. This was a good moment. And right after this, Swerve celebrating as he should. He has main evented. He has successfully main evented in a match people thought they were going to get in Wembley. He looked every bit of the world champ that he needs to be. He came across that way. He presents himself that way. He had some brand new Mosh customs on last night. And they showed Will after the match, dejected. The agony of defeat on full display. Kyle Fletcher comes out, one of his best friends, to console him. Something we often see on big New Japan IWGP title matches. Two guys who leave it all out there after the match is over. Minor celebration, but they're hurt. They're beat up. They're tired. There's the young boys in with the ice packs and everything. And there's been times where Okada had his first shot at Tanahashi and he loses. He goes out. He's crying, getting carried to the back because the emotion has overcome him. I had my chance and I didn't get it done. It happened with Naito losing to Okada. The emotional and physical exhaustion of going through that and not winning. How do I get back? That was the look on Will's face. That was the look. I didn't get it done. The week I had was tough. One of the toughest weeks of my life. But I was ready, and I didn't get it done. I lost on this night to a better man, and they caught him coming through the curtain. Great job by the social team. I'll give them credit. I think they've stepped up their game in a big way, and that's across the board. That's making sure that stuff gets filmed. That's ordering that. That's a great job. They caught Will, and you could see it on his face still. And I don't know if they had told him they were going to do that. The agony of defeat. He's got to regroup. He's got Daniel Garcia, who's got a lot of momentum, who's cutting some great promos on AEW social. Wednesday, international title, going to be a hell of a match. Can Will bounce back 3 days later against a very game Daniel Garcia? Also, they showed one MJF watching the match. Was he watching it for Will? Was he watching it for the world title? Was it both? Made the match mean more. I think the big moments were big enough. I don't know if Forbidden Door, the concept is as hot as it used to be, which is okay. All I would say is, and like I said, Wrestle Dynasty's coming on January 5th. All I would say is I just want to see the outsiders come in a little earlier to build the matches up more. And I think the match will matter more. What's going on to some other people who are joining us here? Real quick question. Nothing is original. Did y'all like MJF and Daniel Garcia being shown in the main event? Yes. And made it matter more? Absolutely. But it made it matter more, and it built to Wednesday, and it built to Wembley. And that's what you need to do. This pay-per-view took them beyond. There's not a dead stop now. Some people need restarts. Moxley's done. Where's he going next? We'll find out. What's next for MJF? Well, is it Garcia? Is it Osprey? Is it the world title? All in play. It's nice to have people that can go in a couple different directions because they're paying attention to multiple things. Let's get to SmackDown here. The opening segment was great. They were going to do the Bloodline stuff with the acknowledgement ceremony, and the smart baby faces got the jump on them. Not treated like dopes. They had every reason to do that because of what happened with Fatu the week before. They get the jump. Hot start to the show. Absolutely how you capture the viewers at home, the capacity crowd at MSG, where the fans were on top of everything. They ran a real simple stage, and Cody got an edge to him that he needed, and he cut that promo, and he said, I should be defending the WWE Championship tonight in this building, and Randy looked at the title. And that's all we needed from that. And then they beat up all the security guards, and Nick Aldis like, get him out of here. They didn't get arrested. They were escorted from the building by policemen that were absolutely not indie workers. So then we get the acknowledgement ceremony. And it's shot for shot, word for word, what Roman would do. Tama, Tonga, ba, go. Fatu speaks simply. They all said, I love you. And I like that because that is what the bloodline comes down to. They might fight each other, but they will always love each other. And they all said that. And it got to Paul. And Paul's in full I'm not sleeping mode. By the way, a lot of people are like, wow, he really didn't sleep. He probably just, did this a bunch of times and had some makeup, which is fine. It's all part of the role. And he goes, Solo, I love you. But I do not acknowledge you as my tribal chief. And they got a massive pop for Paul friggin' Heyman. Paul Heyman doesn't get pops he's not supposed to. He was in that moment, and they got it. And I loved that Solo did not let him soak that in even for more than a few seconds, and he put him down with the spike. Right there, that's the difference. Roman would have been pissed off. Roman would have been looking at the crowd. How dare you? Solo didn't give him a chance. Boom, he goes down. Splash from the top rope. Corey selling the shit out of it in commentary. So is Wade. Oh my God, what are they doing? And I said this on Busted Open on Saturday. I'm saying it again now. This is when words, even as simple as they are, can sell an angle even more. They called Paul Heyman a Hall of Famer walking down the aisle. Then Corey goes, what are they doing? He's a Hall of Famer. I'm paraphrasing. Because now we know Paul Heyman's great, but that is a massive accomplishment. What are you doing? Now it's not Paul Heyman. We begrudgingly have to acknowledge him as a Hall of Famer, even though he's been a piece of trash standing next to Brock Lesnar or CM Punk or Roman Reigns for the majority of his career, and every shortcut and everything he could think of, he's done. Yeah, that made him a Hall of Famer. Now it's a sign of respect. It's used in a different way. Corey was up in arms because of what they were doing to a Hall of Famer. It's like when the Nexus beat up Ricky Steamboat. It had more to it. There was something to that. There was gravitas to that. How could they do this to a Hall of Famer? And they pick him up and they put him through that table. And it looked like it hurt. And Paul, right there, I mean, he's hurting. And the way he went down, he stayed down. We already got enough of his facial expressions. There and there, you see it. When he went down in a heap, it wasn't about bringing the camera over or him rolling over. No, he was done. He was dead. He was out. I don't want to see a move after that. His crumpled, beaten, Hall of Fame body was on the ground because of those four guys. They did that. He wasn't moving because of that. They put his ass down. And then they posed over his body. And I wondered, because of all the Roman chants, would there be disappointment if Roman didn't show up? Would he make the save? And there wasn't, because the crowd was shocked and pissed off for the right reasons. And now, the thirst for Roman Reigns to come back becomes that much bigger. And the Bloodline, who I absolutely called the NWO B team when this channel started a month ago, look a hell of a lot more different, look a hell of a lot more chaotic, look a hell of a lot more dangerous. And they need to remain that way as they head into Money in the Bank this weekend against the world champ, against two former world champs. And the thirst for Roman Reigns will continue. And that's exactly what WWE wants. Excellent angle to end the show. A very good wrestling weekend. And more to come. More Raw qualifiers tonight. We're getting, what do we got tonight? Zoe, Ivy, and Dakota. I'm rooting for Dakota there. Want her to get her moment. And Ilya, Sheamus, and Drew McIntyre. What the hell is that match? Let's go. We'll talk all about that. We'll see, hopefully, what's next for the Wyatt Six. But we'll be back, as we are every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, right here. It's right above Todd at thewrestlingmatchshow.com. Remember, 2 more days, you got the Super Chats. Those that give us Super Chats, you move to the front of the line, you get entered into the giveaway for the Jeff Jarrett signed figure. All of that coming your way in the next couple of days. A lot of big content coming your way. Thank you to those who have subscribed. Continue to subscribe at thewrestlingmatchshow.com. And make sure you follow us on social media, WrestlingMat23. Once again, announcement, 5 o'clock Eastern today. So a little less than 3 hours from now, I'll be on the Reddit Squared Circle page doing an AMA. We'll be doing those as well here as we talk more about the subscriber tiers in future episodes. But we'll be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern to talk about wrestling even more. See you tomorrow right here on the Wrestling Mat.